Dire Team Radiant Team ban.
Alright folks, and here we are, back at the Dota 2 Open in Chicago, sponsored by SteelSeries and Merlina Dota, held at the Ignite Gaming Lounge. If you're wondering about the venue, you can just take a look at the overlay of the stream whenever we're not actually actively in a game. Right now, we're about to see a losers bracket round 2 match between What's the Rosh Time. I love this little graphic design here that they did for their logo. This is fantastic. And Ignition. So these two teams, let's take a look at the bracket real quick, shall we? That's not the bracket. You are the bracket. Yes. Alright, so let's take a look at where we are right now. This is a double elimination best of 1 tournament up to the grand final, which will be best of 3. So, Altered State and Please Gank Shibby, the first 2 teams we saw win on this stream. Altered State ran a MYM-style global strategy in the first round. Not quite sure what they did in the second round because I wasn't observing the game, but they are through to the winners bracket finals against Please Gank Shibby. Meanwhile, let's check What's the Rosh Time. They actually lost their first round match against Please Gank Shibby, the favorites for the tournament so far. Then they defeated Dota 2 in the losers bracket, causing Dota 2 to be one of the 2 first teams eliminated. And now we see them in the losers bracket round 2. So against Ignition. Ice Cream City, meanwhile, the other member of the losers bracket, still alive, waiting on the winner of Unicorn Justice and 2HU, a team that we also saw in our first round today. So let's go back and take a look at this game in particular. What's the Rosh Time and Ignition? We have not seen these 2 teams play yet today. That's why I wanted to switch over to this game. And currently, we do see What's the Rosh Time taking that first pick, Treant Protector. So Treant Protector is a hero that's really rushing around in all the possible levels of popularity. So some teams still think he's trash and don't pick him at all, or will ban him if they don't want to see him. Some teams value him as sort of a late pick, as a possible support to just improve your solo lanes. And some teams, as we see What's the Rosh Time here, actually value him very highly, to the point of, here they actually first pick the Treant, and they go with a Lone Druid. Now, this is an interesting pair. Usually you see Treant Protector run along with Lone Druid solo heroes that sort of have difficulty surviving but can deal a lot of damage. And I feel like that's not really true of Lone Druid. Like, you sometimes run Treant Protector with Outworld Devourer or with Queen of Pain or Puck. Heroes that can really dive and make the advantage of having a living armor. And really, it causes you to win your solo lane and sort of win both of your solo lanes, as well as do fine in the tri-lane. Here we see a Treant Protector that we might see something non-traditional here. For instance, we could see a tri-lane Lone Druid and then 2 aggressive solo lanes coming out from What's the Rosh Time. We could see, and in fact, this Nature's Prophet ban indicates that maybe Ignition don't think that this is going to be a solo hard Lone Druid. We also could see Treant Protector even in a solo lane by himself. We do see him sometimes the Suicide solo or the Safe Lane solo. So all sorts of things can happen here. And Vengeful Spirit, the pickup 3rd for What's the Rosh Time. This, we'll see if what this percentage damage buff is going to intend to do here, but this is a hero that has gotten quite a few buffs. She's much stronger these days with the faster nether swap, the higher strength in particular, making her more tanky. And looking up towards Ignition's lineup, fairly classic lineup here. The Rubik as a support, the Clockwork, most likely the solo hard lane, and finally the Gyrocopter, making for a pretty strong combination already. Gyrocopter, still even after the change to his Flak Cannon, one of the most popular carries, definitely regarded as one of the best damage dealers that exists, simply because he hits one target and his Flak Cannon causes that damage to percolate over to your entire team, and then suddenly you don't have a team. So already 2/3 of a tri-lane. The Rubik, of course, warns you off picking heroes with ultimates that are too consequential. Rubik also not bad against Treant Protector. If the Rubik hits 6 pretty quickly, he can steal Treant Protector's one good spell, as people call it, the living armor, and really just make your life hell. And What's the Rosh Time pick up an anti-mage for a carry? So maybe they felt that the carry bans would just get out of hand if they let that slip to 5, and they take the anti-mage. That means that we will see the Lone Druid in a solo lane. Sometimes we see Lone Druid solo mid, depending on the matchup, but most likely solo hard. So the bottom lane for the Dire, the one that runs down the right side and the bottom of the map. And Anti-Mage we'll see in the tri-lane with the Treant Protector and the Vengeful Spirit. Now, Anti-Mage's survivability will be very vastly improved by having the Treant Protector, but I do worry about whether Ignition can just put an aggressive tri-lane right up in their face and really cause some trouble for What's the Rosh Time. The problem with Treant Protector in a tri-lane is that he simply does not do very much. He keeps you alive, but his damage isn't fantastic. His auto attack is decent, but he's got no real crowd control. His slow is mediocre, and that living armor can get chewed through very quickly, especially with damage over time abilities like Rocket Barrage or like Clockwork's Battery Assault. So, meanwhile, we're moving towards mids, so What's the Rosh Time definitely needs to select a mid hero for themselves. There's still a lot available. They go with the Storm Spirit, so definitely something that's able to disrupt very heavily. As Ignition basically are going with the one carry approach of the Gyrocopter, Storm Spirit can do a lot to disrupt that. You may see this Gyrocopter going Black King Bar fairly quickly, just to make sure that he can live through the Vengeful Spirit Storm Spirit combo. And then he runs into the issue of this almost tri-core, almost reminiscent a little bit of Fnatic EU lineups here for What's the Rosh Time. Two fairly defensive supports, Vengeful Spirit, which Fly on Fnatic played even before it was buffed, and then the Anti-Mage, Storm Spirit, Lone Druid. 3 cores, all of whom basically need farm. Ignition, meanwhile, they took the Brewmaster. If Brewmaster looks a little unfamiliar to you, that's because he did receive a little bit of plastic surgery on his face in yesterday's Dota 2 content patch. So his face is a tiny bit narrower, his eyes are bigger, a little higher brow, closer together. We're done talking about Brewmaster's face. He's a good hero. He's considered by some to be excellent against Lone Druid. Admiral Bulldog, the famous Lone Druid player for the Team Alliance, has stated that Brewmaster is one of the heroes he most fears when playing this Lone Druid. Because he has this Drunken Haze Thunderclap. These are both very effective. He can pop into the Primal Split form, use Cyclone. Sorry about that lag there. Use Cyclone to lift up the Lone Druid, lift up the bear while bashing on the Lone Druid, and just an overall very effective hero. Looks like Ignition will be running that Brewmaster in the mid as they also secure up a Sven. So a little bit of Tricore coming out for them too. Or actually, I guess this is support Sven, possibly? We'll have to see. Nonetheless, let's introduce the teams here. Ignition, we have them playing Extreme on the Rubik and Reno on the Sven. Looks like they will be supporting, or actually they're supporting the Sven? Looks like they're supporting the Sven. Interesting lineup here so far, actually. Bobula on the Brewmaster, Takashi on the Gyrocopter, and they just aren't going to the lanes I expected at all. So we'll do an analysis of this in just a second. But Oversoul, nonetheless, on the Clockwork with 2 Gauntlets of Strength, possibly building towards an early Urn. And then, of course, Extreme Rubik, Reno, Sven, and Bobula on the Brewmaster. Wow, that face is spry. Looking up towards What's the Roshan timer? They are running with Data in the middle as Storm Spirit. That puts Stazes on the Lone Druid in the solo hard. And the tri-lane, safe lane tri-lane up here, DDBY on the Vengeful Spirit, Swan on the Treant Protector, and finally on the Anti-Mage we have Mad Piero. So we'll just go with Piero. So, early game, I don't expect to see that much in the way of action. That said, Sven does provide that big stun. We could see some sort of roams or attempts to generate a kill or even early 5-manning from NTN because, of course, this is a pretty greedy lineup coming out from What's the Roshan timer. They will need the Storm Spirit to find levels in some farm. They certainly need Lone Druid not to struggle in this solo lane. And Anti-Mage, I mean, everybody basically knows Anti-Mage. He doesn't like fun, he just likes to farm, he likes to get a fast Battle Fury and then move towards his next items. So, Oversoul, they are basically doing the lanes that I except for the Storm Spirit. So we have Gyrocopter against Storm Spirit in the mid, 2 ranged heroes, both with fairly short attack range. Storm Spirit's damage is slightly better, you can see 56 to 52 right now, but that's not that dramatic of a difference. I think they should both be able to get their last hits, assuming equal execution. They can also do a bit of harassment on each other. Gyrocopters harass a bit longer range, of course, with this flak cannon that can pick at Storm Spirit from 1,000 units away. Storm Spirit really has to go right up into the Gyrocopter's face to do harassment. In fact, I don't expect the Storm Spirit to find a kill unless the supports rotate over, and it would have to be Venge, since Treant not tremendously useful in a rotation. Meanwhile, very successful creep pull here from the Lone Druid player Stazes. He's going to get 2 waves of creeps completely full onto this bear, either pull them into his tower or just wait. Yep, he's going to circle around, doesn't want to clear the creep wave out too quickly, just wait until this creep wave comes in. Actually, it's too close to the... I think it'll still... Yeah, he messed it up a tiny bit, but I think only one of these creeps is in range of the tower, so this is okay. And this is going to be plenty of XP to start out with Stazes. Very, very successful so far. Meanwhile, in the mid, a little bit of early trouble for Data. There's the Rocket Barrage. They're still trying to pick off... He actually earns the first blood, but the Rubik Haste Rune did pay off somewhat in the end, managing to 1-for-1 trade here. Gyrocopter goes down first, Storm Spirit second, and actually, that's a bit of a backfire for Ignition. Losing the first blood, making sure that the Storm Spirit gets even more XP. Just look at it, most of the way through level 3 now, while Gyrocopter just starting. That is not what they wanted. They definitely wanted that faster first blood, but unfortunately, tower damage intimidatingly strong there. One issue that Ignition are having is controlling their lane, so Sven, even with the Quelling Blade, is really struggling to deal too much damage. He actually is rotating. They may switch this lane around. This Lone Druid, very successful so far. Brew now basically farming this lane, 3-for-1. Sven going to rotate up to the top for a pseudo-dual lane with Oversoul and the Clockwork, who has really struggled to get the levels. He's obviously afraid of this Vengeful Spirit potential with the Magic Missile, but Anti-Mage, of course, can also blink into Clockwork's cogs, making them not tremendously effective. So far, I would have to say, what's the Roshan timer having the balance of this game? Stasis is finding levels. Data got the first blood after a gank attempt coming in from Ignition. And just look at the farm that Mad Piero is getting. 16-for-4 on Anti-Mage. Actually very, very efficient for this point in the game. And really, no counterpart on Ignition is really finding any farm to speak of. Gyrocopter with only 6 last hits in the middle. Sven with only 3, Brewmaster now with 7. It's not terrible, but it seems like they didn't really decide on that working of a lane configuration, and now they're running this awkward 2-1-2. This is solely to catch up on levels, basically, because if you look, the Sven really struggling, only level 1. There's the cogs from Clockwork. That'll get him away. Actually, a Stormhammer getting sent out, but I don't know how they can hope to actually get the kill here. They don't have Battery Assault. Here's Extreme on the Rubik, going to maybe try to make something happen, but this is just a little bit uncoordinated from Ignition so far. They really need to sync up their stuns if they want to have a hope of getting a kill, because these are all low-damage heroes right now. An Anti-Mage, he doesn't have Spell Shield, so he doesn't have that great resistance against their spells yet, but this has now become a pseudo-tri-lane with the Clockwork, Sven, Rubik against the Treant Protector, Vengeful Spirit, Anti-Mage, and I just don't really see how this actually punishes the Anti-Mage in any meaningful fashion. Brew will be just fine going up against Lone Druid. I'm not concerned about that per se, although Stasis will hit level 5 for that, for the Entangle and one more creep. Yeah, there it is. The Entangle capacity now available as soon as he gets the level 3 bear. And it immediately gets an Entangle. This is actually a lot of trouble for Babula already. He might get the kill. One more hit from the bear. There it is. An easy kill for Stasis. So lucky summoning that tier 3rd bear, and immediately with the very first hit getting an Entangle. That, folks, is the power of the Panda. That's why you buy that Panda cosmetic on the Dota 2 store for the low, low price of $7.99 USD. Easy kill, basically, for Stasis. Easy kill, easy life, even. And now, even with this greedy lineup, WTRT are basically succeeding in every lane. They've got 15 hits on the Storm Spirit. He's matching the Gyrocopter pound for pound, and indeed that's what we expected in this lane. More importantly, he did have that early kill, so he will actually hit Ball Lightning in one more creep. Oh no, it's going to take another one, but nonetheless, that Ball Lightning going to make a big difference. Anti-Mage, meanwhile, still farming without any interruption. NTN are really struggling on this top lane. Ignition not... I mean, the levels are a problem, and it becomes worse and worse as time goes by. Now you have a level 4 Anti-Mage, and all your heroes are level 2. How do you... Well, actually, Rubik is level 4, but how do you hope to actually kill this AM? Maybe you can kill the Venge or something, but Treant Protector is going to become a factor as well. Of course, he's only level 2. There's the lift. The quick stun out from Venge. Stormhammer will land, but Oversoul has no mana. He can't prosecute this. They're fighting Mad Piero, but he blinks away, and he's completely fine. Another Living Armor, and he'll be back to fighting Shape. Living Armor going out on DDBY. Vengeful Spirit will walk away from this fight, and no action is always bad for Ignition. They're the ones that need to pressure, they're the ones that need an early game advantage, and if they're not able to land that, that's a problem. I do expect, you see the Orb of Venom already on the bear for additional harassment on Babula. What my expectation would be is that he's actually going to make this into phase, and once phase comes down, it's going to be tremendously difficult for Babula to survive in this lane. I would have loved him to actually, rather than take the second point in Drunken Brawler at 4, one of your options is to actually take a rank of Drunken Haze. If you give the bear 45% mischance, Lone Druid's ability to last hit actually becomes severely crimped, in addition to the fact that you're really not going to get entangled. Think about the fact that with 45% miss, you only land about half your shots, and of those, only a quarter will proc entangles. It just becomes a much more manageable lane for Brewmaster, and all he needs to really sustain infinite Drunken Haze is maybe the occasional bottling. You could just see Brewmaster struggling on this lane. I mean, 14 last hits is perfectly respectable, but he's just hit level 5, and I'm sure they wanted that ultimate in a timely fashion. Takashi, meanwhile, really harassed out of this lane as well. Where's their courier at, and what's it carrying? Nothing right now. In fact, only a ground courier. At this point, you usually want to see a flying courier up if you can. But it's hardly hopeless for Ignition, on the other hand. Babula's getting fine levels. He'll have his ultimate soon. As long as an unlucky Entangle doesn't come his way, he should be just fine. And then in the top lane, of course, these levels are a concern, but they still have kill potential. This is the support. There's the telekinesis. That's going to be this time. They'll get the cogs unquestionably. Does he not have cogs? There's the cogs a little bit late. It does zone out Swan a bit, but here comes Anti-Mage. Bad PR doing a lot of damage. Swan, one more hit. Yes, the Tram Protector down. That'll tie it up at 2-2. Staz is actually rotated over with this Lone Druid Bear. No phase boots up on it yet, though. They're still trying to bash him out. Mad Piero, he needs a couple more hits. Reno will go down to the last Lone Druid strike, and Lone Druid still chasing. Stasis wants another. Extreme goes down. Another Entangle proc. The power of the Panda making itself felt. He's going to have to walk out of here. He should probably... he's okay. Living Armor will help him. And this Lone Druid starting to get a little scary. Level 8 now. He is definitely the highest level on this map. Storm Spirit at 7. Phase Boots picked up for that bear. That's going to be a scary bear and a difficult thing for Ignition to deal with. Takashi has got his Akala, probably going to go towards tier 2 boots now. Usually we see Phase. In fact, I would recommend Phase. Get the hell away from that bear as fast as possible is pretty much the order of operations for everybody on Ignition at any given time. Babula, however, that time that Lone Druid was away in another lane has given him his ultimate Primal Split. Now that he's leveled up to that, he might be in a little better shape. He has the capability of at least controlling the Lone Druid in team fights. Meanwhile, Ignition, they want to go in again. Telekinesis up on the Tram Protector. That's going to be a fairly easy kill. Living Armor is up. They don't quite have it yet. They need one more hit. The Rubik will get the last hit there. Mad Pierre is forced to disengage. He does have the level 1 ultimate, but it's doubtful that it can make much happen. Storm Spirit's coming in from behind with a Haste Druid. Time's running out for Ignition to make something happen here. Actually, Soul Ring picked up the Brewmaster just for extra sustainability. Here comes DDBY. He doesn't have mana, though. There's the Storm Bolt, but here's Storm Spirit. He actually gets shut down by the Telekinesis, at least temporarily. DDBY dueling Oversoul here. Sven already on the ground. I don't think Oversoul gets out of this alive. Mad Piero is going to try to pick up the last hit here. All he has to do is blink. No, the Storm Spirit actually gets it, and there's that Haste Rune doing some work. Now a 6-3 advantage. Takashi tried to rotate over, but with his tier 1 boots, there's not a lot he can do here, and Babula, meanwhile, just hasn't really found the time, found the opportunity because of his low early farm to actually join in these fights. So we do have the urn picked up for the Clockwork, but I don't know how this can turn it. You can just look at the boots situation for Ignition here. 4 tier 1s and a Arcane Boots. Now, a Storm Spirit already has his Treads. This is actually another fairly greedy choice just because it does give him better tankability, better DPS, but not the sort of mana pool sustainability that Arcanes would give. But I actually like this choice. And of course, Stasis has 2 sets of tier 2 boots. Look how confident he feels diving. Especially with this phase boots, he can just always proc at least 1 hit on the Brewmaster. And either it will get entangle or it won't. You know, if it entangles, you're in business. If it doesn't entangle, it's okay. Babula, meanwhile, this Soul Ring is interesting. Basically, rather than go, meanwhile, in the top, we actually have Cogs, another big fight, but they're out of mana. Oversoul has no mana at all. No mana to actually mana void him. Maybe that Piero will do it. Not quite enough damage. Of course, that level 1 mana. There's the Entangle, another kill for Stasis. The Stormbolt gets thrown out on the bear, but he may dive again. We might just see a repeat of the last fight. Here's the bear bashing already. Faceboot's active. Nice Telekinesis. Drops it right down. They just had to call off the chase, but a kill for nothing. Again, Ignition, due to this level disadvantage, they are not able to generate these kill opportunities anymore on Swan or on DDBY. And every time Stasis just rotates over, gets a kill or two, and it just becomes very, very troublesome. Babula, meanwhile, continuing to level. I was talking about the Soul Ring. The nice thing about the Soul Ring is even if Anti-Mage burns all of your mana, you can still consume the Soul Ring to get 150 mana more often than not. I mean, all the way up until level 16, and really even after that, you will be able to use your Primal Split no matter what. That's definitely useful, especially on a crimped mana pool. I still expect him to go the Arcane Boots as well. Data sitting here in the last dregs of an Invis Rune. Will he actually attempt to get a kill? Because this Invis Rune will expire in just a second. He decides not to try to prosecute Takashi too much. Stasis coming over. Maybe they could start a push. This Lone Druid is level 9. This is an extremely strong time to push for Lone Druid. He's got his max Summon Spirit Bear. He's got his max Synergy and an ultimate. Levels 9 and 10 are when Lone Druid is at his mightiest power as a pusher relative to any other player. You see him just using the battle cry. Look how quickly this bear is going to chew through this. No armlet needed. Of course, armlet, not a thing people go that much anymore, but really nothing needed to bash through this tower except the power of the bear by itself. Ignition, already feeling crimped on the push. They respond by attempting to trade. So using this 3-core, still pretty dangerous, still a lot of stuns and the cogs to follow. The one thing is that this Clockwork, because he has 3 ranks in Rocket Flare rather than Battery Assault, his damage in an actual sustained engagement is not as great as if he had the extra Battery Assault. Here we go, almost down to this tier 1 tower. They actually fortify, so what's the Roshan timer actually attempt to contest this? Is that the intention of this fortification? I guess not, just to waste Ignition's time, because these levels, this tri-lane levels, again, if you look, 4 Sven, 5 Clockwork, 5 Rubik. Really struggling, not able to get the ultimate up on Rubik yet. Certainly nowhere near the ultimate on Sven, but close on the Clockwork. Now with 4 players, they're going to try to make another thing happen. Bobula finally joining in the fight. He does have his ultimate for this. Here we go. Lift up on DDBY. Will they use the Stormhammer? Here it comes. Living armor, keeping him alive for now. The ultimate used for Brewmaster as well. Just for 1 kill, this actually isn't worth it. Mad Piero currently dueling Takashi. Here comes the homing missile. He doesn't, keep in mind, no TP scroll for him. They will spot him out with the homing. He still doesn't have a TP scroll, not even enough mana to use it. He's actually might get picked off. There's the Stormbolt, there's the Fade Bolt, and yes, the Rocket Barrage getting the last hit. And Takashi, now with a kill, they pick off Mad Piero. A little bit out of position there. That will delay his Battle Fury. He's built the 2 sword components of it. Just needs the Void Stone, but still, a tower kill, 2 kills for Ignition. Exactly what you want if you're this team right now. Sure, you had to 5-man to get it, but it's important to actually get at least some kills. Meanwhile, Stasis, he's decided to split push. 1840 saved up. We'll have to look to see if he goes for something like a Maelstrom early for more early effectiveness, or if he just charges forward for that Radiance and expects to take advantage of lower hero levels. Definitely this greedy, fanatic-ish approach for WTRT has paid off for them so far. You can see them leading the net worth. 1, 2, 3. Stasis, Data, Mad Piero. The Anti-Mage, of course, a little bit behind the net worth so far, but once he hits that, Battle Fury, we'll see him catch all the way back up and then some. Useful, I question the Brewmaster ultimate, but hey, secure 2 kills, get a kill on Anti-Mage. Maybe a second tower, but this could be a fight too. There's no Brewmaster ultimate for this one. They probably have to retreat, and they are not a fast-moving team right now. They've got the phase on Gyrocopter finally. Still tier 1s on Clockwork. Looks like he may actually go Vanguard with this Ring of Health. That would be my expectation. Just to try to live up against the Lone Druid Anti-Mage, who are becoming scarier by the minute in terms of the amount of damage they deal. WTRT ahead by 1 tower. They did have Storm Spirit get the mid tower. They got Lone Druid get the bottom tower. And so that does give them some advantage as well. If we look towards the gold graph, about a 4k ahead, about 3k ahead on the XP. So a little bit of a level cushion, a little bit of a farm cushion, but more importantly, their strategic gambit is paying off. They pick 3 cores, and all of them so far getting okay farm. Here comes this stolen Storm Spirit ultimate, stuns up on DDBY. The Living Armor doing work, but there's no way that he gets out of this alive. They just need a little more damage. Stasis is here. They look like they want to continue, but Data's in the fray. Takashi in a bit of trouble, pops down the call down, but not long enough. Reno will fall. Staz is already doing a lot of work with this bear. They are just cleaning them up. Hookshot comes out from Oversoul. Just enough for a stun, but not enough to keep him alive. He's just about out of mana. Not even bothering to use the Urn Charge. Mad Pierre actually comes in for the last hit there. And that fight, the first kill was good, but there's the effect of Living Armor. It keeps Vengeful Spirit alive just long enough that you either have to give up on the kill or extend further than you were meaning to. And the second is what happened there. Ignition knew they wanted the kill. They knew it wouldn't be worthwhile to roam as 5 unless they managed to get a kill. And as a consequence, they really paid for it. As a result, WTRT just completely punished them because the Vengeful Spirit lived long enough for Stasis to get in the fight, for Data to get in the fight, and now we see WTRT confident enough to 5-man. Not much of a mana pool on the Storm Spirit, once again using the Stolen Ball Lightning to really make it unpredictable, but there's the Overgrowth, and they're just going to walk away. Maybe Swan dies here. Stolen Overgrowth, that's actually a pretty useful steal for this Rubik. Nice work by Extreme so far. He's really been the shining light of Ignition so far in this game, frankly. Brewmaster Ultimate doesn't come to much, unfortunately, but hey, that was actually decent. I mean, the Ball Lightning steal was really huge because WTRT just had no expectation of where this Rubik could be. It's always fantastic as Rubik to steal Blinks if you can. The ideal is the Anti-Mage Blink because it doesn't cost nearly as much mana as the Storm Spirit Blink, but hey, Storm Spirit will do in a pinch, and this Rubik actually level 7, doing the best out of any of the supports in this game, frankly. So a lot of work being done by Extreme in this game for Ignition, and they're going to have to try to get everybody else up to that level. Anti-Mage, of course, not that farmed yet. There's only so many 5-mans he can afford to participate on at this point with Tier 1 boots and Battle Fury. He's really going to want to be using that Battle Fury as much as possible. It looks like another fight developing, so this team's not afraid to have fights. Swan sitting in his Nature's Guise. It's only level 1. He's got got his Overgrowth cooldown in 8 seconds. Keep in mind, Overgrowth is up for Rubik as well. He actually, maybe, if he uses it soon, before Treant uses his, he can steal it again and use it again. That would be pretty remarkable. But, Staza's doing a bit of defense here, and it doesn't look like Ignition feel that comfortable just yet. The support Sven still not even having treads. The Clockwork could make something happen, but he wants to sort of build towards his Vanguard, I think, and I really wish this brew was level 11. Maybe they'll wait for that. One more... There's so many people around that he's getting barely any XP, only 8 per creep. If they could have level 2 Brewmaster Ultimate for this fight, that would be so significant. Tree and Protector still stealthed up. Keep an eye out for this Tree and Protector because an Overgrowth could change the pattern of the fight. No mana for her right now. Ignition trying to just circle around Hem WTRT in, but will they find the initiation they want? Data certainly feels comfortable. There's the Overgrowth in response. The Stormbolt comes out. Data does not manage to shuck it. Reno popping his ultimate. Data will get away. There's the Overgrowth from Tree and Protector. Call down coming through. Bobula's still up. He does not have his ultimate. Keep in mind, Oversoul has been entangled. Storm Spirit doing quite a bit of damage to Clockwork as well. Clockwork will be the first to go down on this side. Anti-Mage, of course, already on the ground. Here's Stas, stunned by the homing missile. Maybe they get the Lone Druid here. One more hit, yes. And maybe Swan to go up as well. There's the telekinesis from Rubik. Rubik on point with these stuns. 3 on the ground. Data in trouble. DDBY covering Data's escape with a great magic missile from this Vengeful Spirit. But Vengeful Spirit most likely pays for it with a life. Drunken Haze and a Fade Bolt, and Rubik finishes it off. Extreme, really captaining his team effectively here. I don't even know if he is the captain. Is he the captain? Yes, he is. Excellent, excellent Rubik play. Even without the Brewmaster ultimate, Ignition convincingly take that fight. I'm not sure that what Roshan time is it are able to fight with this anti-mage. Like, he doesn't bring anything to the table just yet. Not through any fault of his own, but that's how the hero works. Data is trying to do work, Stasis is trying to do work, but maybe WTRT felt they were more ahead than they were. And in a 5-man composition, Ignition have an excellent 5-man. The thing about having Rubik is the best part of your 5-man is the best part of their 5-man, because they can steal it. Oversoul possibly in a bit of trouble here. Data clearly wants to fight, but his health is pretty low. I'm not sure you can actually duel Rubik like this. DDBY may try to leave with a magic missile. There's the swap. There's the missile. Cogs is up. They may blink into this. Clockwork already almost dead. He's going to have to hook shot out of this somehow. Here comes Data. No, Clockwork won't get anything done. Takashi is massively out of position here. This is actually very poor positioning from Ignition. Will they get out with Gyrocopter? Another unsuccessful Mana Void. Level 1 Mana Void, just now that impressive. Data, is he overreaching? He's out of mana. Takashi's still alive, and Data has no mana to get out of here. Does he actually have bottle charges? He has none. He may get out because Bobula trying to chase. Will use ultimate. Excellent shuck. He uses the last bit of mana he has to ball lightning out of the Stormhammer. Still, Brewmaster chasing. They want to take another 5-man. They feel confident about these 5-mans. I'm not sure that this is the right call. Mad Piero trying to duel. They lift up the Storm Spirit in the Cyclone, but they have to disengage. In the end, the Brewmaster ultimate not doing very much in that fight. And Reno, yeah, I mean, no tier 1 tower here to reinforce. Probably an unnecessary death for Clockwork there. At least they got the gyro out of there. Not able to punish what's the Roshan time. But in general, I think Ignition's still showing far more signs of life right now than they were earlier. Anti-Mage still struggling at around level 9. The Storm Spirit and Stasis still doing extremely well. This Lone Druid, of course, he did, as we mentioned, he ended up going for the Radiance. He's getting close now. He's almost at his Relic. Looks like about a 24-minute Radiance, maybe 23 if he goes fast. And Ignition, they still seek to 5-man. I bet they wish that they had the Brewmaster ultimate for this, though. Brewmaster, a little bit away from his blink. Interesting that he didn't go for the Arcane Boots. He really is going to need that Soul Ring to give him the mana to actually do well. And he's probably going to buy out for blink, would be my guess. Takashi, meanwhile, building towards that BKB. We mentioned during the draft phase that this is probably a game where the Gyro has to rush BKB. So Ignition will lack damage to some extent. The Gyro isn't going pure damage. The Brewmaster has not that much damage. And of course, the Sven is under level. That said, so far their teamfight execution has made up for it. They've been able to contest what's the Roshan time in the teamfights.
Dire's bottom tower has been denied.
Oh, Extreme and Takashi just trying to hunt this jungle. They have decent vision. You can see that Ignition have vision here, 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 and here. So their vision is actually fairly superior, particularly of the enemy jungle, which is it's very confident to place 3 wards like this because it means you anticipate that you will be on the offensive, which is the position that they should be in. Staz is looping around. He wants to get this last tier 1 tower. This bear probably easily chooses this with the battle cry. I don't think it's really worth using a Fortify for this. They actually do. Will they try to contest? Will they try to fight? Stasis, he just wants to pick this off with the bear. They need a Clockwork hook to really make this work. Where's Clockwork at? Are they going to hook? They probably could. There's nobody actually supporting him, but they decide not to. They just give away the tower. Not a great use of fortification. You might need that in the next 5 minutes, but not the end of the world either. Net worth still 1, 2, 3. You see Anti-Mage now using his Battle Fury to get up to the top of the net worth. Lone Druid still doing quite well. He is... How close to Radiance is he? Still about 800 off, but that's not too bad. He's getting there. And Storm Spirit, he is going the Orchid. He's only about 300 away from Orchid Malevolence. That'll be extremely useful against Brewmaster. Brewmaster is a fundamentally silence vulnerable hero. If you can silence him and take him out, that'll be trouble. Also, he's got his Blink Dagger. The thing is, they know that the Lone Druid at this point is going Radiance. Radiance, if the bear is near the brew, you won't get that blink, but here we go. So far, the blink works. Hook comes in from Clockwork. He does hit his friend, the Brewmaster, but DDB are already on the ground. Data at least temporarily disabled. Here's Reno chasing. Swan also running as well. Nobody here from WTRT to reinforce just yet. The Treant Protector taking tremendous amounts of damage. The homing missile gets the last hit. Storm Spirit lifted up in the cycle, and that'll probably be the end of this team fight for Ignition, but they'll take a tower off of it. Sven, not a slouching pusher with that God Strength. He's able to deal pretty decent tower damage. And Storm Spirit just watching impotently as his tower gets picked off. Mad Pierre, meanwhile, doing a little bit of split pushing. He is going for that Manta style, actually, so he will be able to do quite a bit of split push a little bit later. Gyrocopter with the remaining charges of his Flak Cannon, cleaning up this creep wave, getting a little bit of farm. BKB for him will be complete off of that fight. Meanwhile, Rubik has the Force Staff. Ignition, they're still winning these teamfight engagements. My issue is that they need to maybe win even bigger, because the Radiance is coming, only about 400 gold remaining for Lone Druid to pick that up. The Anti-Mage, he'll have his Yash after one more creep wave, he'll build that towards a Manta style, allow him to split push effectively, and the Storm Spirit is complete on Orchid. It's these critical little benchmarks for WTRT's effectiveness in fights to dramatically improve. And Ignition, meanwhile, not that they're slouching, they're building their items as well, but for instance, Blink Dagger will be more or less countered by that by the combination of Radiance and Orchid Malevolence, and Brewmaster doesn't have anything besides that. Sven building his BKB, Gyro building his BKB, Clockwork, who's now really struggling as far as levels. The amount of 5-manning that they're doing is good on the one hand, but on the other hand, the issue is that with the 5-man, they end up struggling for levels. Like, you have the level 8, 9, 9. This is tough to be. Of course, the supports of WTRT are level 8 as well, but it's not as important for Venge and Treant to be high level. It actually is pretty important for heroes like Clockwork and Sven to really contribute in the mid to late game, to actually have those levels. They do have good levels on Gyro and Brew, but it's tough, and you can see they're still 5-manning. They still want to use their advantage while they have it. I agree with the strategic decision. The question is, did they fall behind too much in the beginning for this now to work? Swan sitting here, he wants to get... This is the thing with this Little Nature's Guys. You can overgrowth from an unexpected angle. Of course, the trees are cut down a little bit here, so he's going to have to like loop around like this and try to get a good overgrowth. Ignition, meanwhile, playing fairly cautiously. They want to wait for the right moment. Does the bear have Radiance? Where, in fact, is the bear? I'm not quite sure. Oh, yeah, it's actually Mad Piero doing a lot of split pushing here. The Radiance finally complete. The bear was just shopping. And now, Ignition will see the Radiance. Look at how Brew is now completely unable to blink. He wants to, he can't. Swan is here as well. Here's the Brewmaster. Will he use ultimate? Will he use ultimate? He does use ultimate. Reno is silenced. He can't get a stun off. Dad actually way in over his head. The Rocket Brush will do a lot of work. He's still alive. Nice living armor. Not enough damage on the Gyrocopter. Reno may die to the ticks of the Entangle. No, not quite yet. Storm Spirit on the ground. Lone Druid is still up. They may pick up Swan. The Brewmaster ultimate doing most of the work there. Oversoul trying to duel this Lone Druid, but it's not going to happen, dude. You're going to get Radiance to death. The homing missile comes through, but the bear is just chasing. There's the Entangle. Clockwork on the ground. One dead, and in fact, Ignition probably need to retreat. Extreme on a little bit of health. Mad Piero trying to chase. This Rubik is still alive. No, Lone Druid with the Radiance burn. That burn is making a difference. All of a sudden, you see Ignition no longer able to easily win these teamfights, and Babula just running for dear life. Maybe he could kill the bear. Otherwise, he's going to get burned to death by the bear. Kill the bear, dude. You can get free gold. Alright, well, he decides to walk. He's trying to get out of that Radiance range. His Blink Dagger cooldown comes up. Just another stun to help his escape. And Stasis forced to back off. No, not kills on the bear, so the bear will stay alive. They'll living armor it back to full slowly. I think he doesn't want to respawn it if he doesn't have to. And Data, meanwhile, just farming at this point, because that was another fight in which he wasn't able to do what he wanted. Maybe BKB for this Storm Spirit after Orchid Malevolence wouldn't be remiss. Net worth, Anti-Mage still building. He did not die in that last fight. He's got his Yasha pretty close to the ultimate orb, so about 1,100 gold off from finishing his Manta style. Lone Druid, of course, getting more kills in that game. In that fight, Stasis has had a fantastic game. Look at this guy's record, 6-1-2. Gyrocopter has done very well as well, but he was forced to go that quick Black King bar. Looks like he'll go Shadowblade for a little bit more initiation and damage next. But Lone Druid. I mean, just look at this guy's GPM doing very well, 373. He's got the Radiance. He's going to build towards his next item. Actually, Gloves of Haste, so I'm guessing this is probably going to be the Maelstrom for more AoE damage, and that's going to make Lone Druid very scary. Right now, Ignition don't have the damage to chew through that Lone Druid straight up until he's the last person left alive. They're going to try this tier 2 again. Here comes the hook shot. This is actually nice initiation. It doesn't look like WTRT were ready for this. Sven uses his ultimate. Swan will drop very, very quickly. Data trying to make something happen, but WTRT may just need to back off here. Rubik picking up the Static Remnant. He may have wanted the Ball Lightning, but Static Remnant will do fine. Meanwhile, the Split Bush comes out. They get a tower, but Staz has already got the tier 2 here as well. He may try to push into the tier 3. This may end up being a trade. It looks like Ignition want to prosecute this a little bit. Data peeling off. He's jumping back into the Ball Lightning. Never underestimate Storm Spirit to defend your tier 3, so you can go to Fountain, get more mana, and come back. Meanwhile, oh my god, the Split Push is coming out. 2 lane Split Push. Mad Pyro on the top. Staz is on the bottom. The stun comes out. They may try to catch this Lone Druid. Oh, an Entangle comes out. It's going to be very, very difficult to catch him now. Takashi comes, but how are they possibly going to catch this Lone Druid? He is way far away. The Battle Cry already up. Trucking it 425, even in true form, with that Tranquils, with that Battle Cry. And the Split Push succeeds from WTRT. They actually kill the Brewmaster as well on the high ground here. And Ignition, they get through about half the tier 3 tower health, but so does Lone Druid. So does Anti-Mage. It's WTRT still, just because of the power of the Split Push. We almost saw the gold come back to even, but now we see it drifting towards WTRT again, especially in terms of the levels. Swan and DDBY, you can pretty much write them off getting a bunch of levels in this game, but the Tricore, the Fnatic-ish greedy Tricore, it's paying off more and more as these heroes approach their level 3 ultimates. Anti-Mage, he's done with his Manta style. He's a dangerous split pusher. Storm Spirit, he has his Orchid, he has 2,400 gold, most likely a BKB next would be my guess. And Lone Druid, he is a terror with the Radiance, with the Maelstrom almost finished. We'll see if he actually goes to the Mjolnir as well. But the point is, the upshot is this is a dangerous Lone Druid. He's fast, he's strong, he's mighty. And the Vanguard for Clockwork is about all he has. Vanguard and Drums. So survivability, but not much else. And no survivability against Storm Spirit. Vanguard's not going to do crap for you. Did Data overextend? No, he just peels out. The Clockwork survivability is good enough to actually deflect that. It's a good amount of health and damage block. Swan, he gets caught out, actually. This Trurian, he uses Overgrowth, but this can't save him. The Overgrowth actually stolen. Actually, he may live. The cooldown won't hit either. Will they prosecute this more? Actually, a hookshot coming in on Data. Nice cogs. This will lock Data out of the fight completely. They do finally pick up the Trurian Protector. They used quite a bit to do so. Sven actually using his ultimate. He's just going to counter push now. Just clear out this creep wave as quickly as possible so that you're not in that much trouble. But this is it. The 2 lanes of counter push are so dangerous. Mad Pyro, he can just clear out of here anytime he wants. Brewmaster, of course, getting some free farm here. If your split push doesn't succeed, that's... Oh, will they actually get this bear? They could cog it in. There's the telekinesis. They should cogs. They should cogs. They have to cogs right now. Cog. Come on. I feel like they definitely should have cogs. They could have killed the bear and gotten the 300 gold. Mad Pyro escapes. Gyrocopter not really able to pick him off there.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
Give me a second. I really wish they had picked off the bear. I mean, it's a free 300 gold. It's actually not a slouch. And you can see the bear, even without the presence of the druid, is able to keep this lane pushed in. Even get a little bit of farm for Lone Druid. That'll probably be his Maelstrom completed, more likely than not. DDBY, meanwhile, you see him... Vengeful Spirits more and more these days go for the Aghanim Scepter as a primary item, simply because that range will really help you tier 3. Reno really thought that he could actually get the bear, but instead he may pay for it with his life. Orchid Malevolence will trick in a second. He's still alive. Barely the Force Staff. No, he doesn't quite get it. Data forced to retreat, but with an easy kill. Honestly, that was a little bit of overextension from Reno, thinking that he could kill that bear, and they need cogs if they actually want to do that, in my opinion. Stasis pushing 2 lanes all by himself. Piero still farming the jungle. 2,600 now up for this anti-mage. We'll have to see what item he goes for next. Stasis! Babula is actually trying to pick off this Lone Druid, but he doesn't have the damage. Not quite yet. Not without support. And Ignition, after such great 5-manning, it seems like they're just splitting up a lot more, and I find that a little bit problematic. You can see that it's allowing WTRT to just rocket ahead as far as the farm goes. more and more this graph is starting to look unfavorable for Ignition. They seem to call off the 5-man in the presence of the split push. They must have thought, hey, if they're split pushing, they push all their lanes in and let us actually get a bunch of farm. That's true as far as it goes, but you're giving time for this Tricore. You're really giving time for it to do extremely well. The Maelstrom complete for Lone Druid. The Storm Spirit getting closer and closer to whatever the heck is he wants to buy. Does he have something on the Courier? I think he... No, he doesn't. And, of course, Anti-Mage. Anti-Mage becomes a ticking time bomb. You can see that the GPM, only Gyrocopter is really keeping up. Rubik, of course, still with only 2 deaths. He's got the Ghost Scepter. Here comes a hook. Here comes an attempt to do something. DDBY locked in here. The Living Armor so far doing a lot of work. There's the Call Down. There's the Stolen Overgrowth. Probably gets Venge here, but they used a couple ultimates to do so. The Hook Shot, the Overgrowth stolen, and as well as the Call Down. Of course, these aren't the longest cooldown ultimates. It's not the end of the world. But here comes the split push again from Anti-Mage. This is in trouble. You get the 3 AM split pushing you. You get the Lone Druid farming the Ancients. They can't really tier 3 here. They just have to TP and hope that they can get Anti-Mage, which they really, really can't, because he just blinks away and walks away comfortably. Ignition, they've fallen into that frustrating position that you sometimes see teams face, where you know that the other team can just split push all day, and you just don't feel ever comfortable trying to go for high ground. They would have to get a pick off on the Lone Druid or the Anti-Mage to actually get something done here. They would have to get these split pushers out of the picture to go high ground, and if they don't, I don't know. I would love to see them put more pressure on the bear, like with even a hook shot spent on it. You get some gold, you put some pressure on it, and you're in good shape. But here we don't really see that happening. Takashi just clearing out a creep wave in the bottom here. He's got his Shadow Blade, his Phase Boots, his BKB. But it's going to need a lot more. I mean, his net worth is okay. It's higher than Storm Spirits, lower than Lone Druids, but it's not enough. It is not enough. He needs probably MKB would be my guess, because anti-mages frequently go Butterfly, and if he does, you're already well equipped to deal with that. And it's just a lot of AoE damage in general that you can utilize. WTRT, they want to go for Roshan. Ignition, they can spot this with another Clockwork Rocket, but it's always a weird psychological thing when you rocket and nobody's in the pit. You're like, oh, well, I guess they're not Roshing for a while. Oh, here they go. They spotted it with rockets. Will they make a beeline for it? Rosh already at half health. This Lone Druid damage is very impressive. It doesn't look like WTRT want to go, and they do want to go, but the Aegis will be up. It looks like they'll put Aegis on the Lone Druid if I had to guess. Yes, they will. They pick it up. And yeah, it's almost too late for Ignition to do much about this. Maybe a hookshot could make something happen. Will he even attempt the hookshot? Their vision, we were talking about how vision, their vision was good before. They had vision here, 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 here. Right now they don't have vision in any of those places. They have vision here in the super defensive. You can see Ignition's transition from a team worrying about offense to a team worrying about defense just by looking at their ward placement. Like, they're just much more in a turtle conservative shell posture here, and it's costing them as Anti-Mage is just rocketing ahead of net worth. Look at how quickly he's eclipsing this Gyrocopter with his higher ability to farm and their greater map control. Ignition barreling up the mid again. They see that there's no active split push going on right now, and in fact, Mad Pierre is going to take some time to reach this tier 3. So this might be the time. This might be one of the last times that they can get comfortably without killing people off. Of course, they've got an Aegis Lone Druid to chew through. He's level 17. They got a level 18 Anti-Mage possibly to contend with, but they might as well give it a shot. There's the blink from Bobula. He already uses his ultimate before the bear is able to disable it. There's the hook shot. Nice call down. This will hit everybody. Data will fall extremely quickly. Stas is in trouble. They may actually pick off the Aegis. Nice swap by the Vengeful Spirit, but the Rubik is still alive. He's using that Ghost Scepter to great effect. Extreme somehow living through this fight. Sven is on the ground. Brewmaster actually may get picked off. He's running out of time. His ultimate runs out of time just in time. Actually, Mad Piero was going to fall. Swan is in a lot of trouble as well. Stas is on his second life. Data re-enters. He does have his full mana, and this might be a wipe for Ignition. They came so close, but unfortunately that Aegis Bear is just doing a tremendous amount. Babula will fall. The first part of the fight looked really good, but that's when you see the impact of that Roshan and the impact of Storm as a base defender. Did he buy back? He had to have bought back. No, he didn't, actually. Just the short enough time for the Storm Spirit to re-enter the fight allowed for WTRT to just respond with force. Ignition, they went at the right time. They probably couldn't have waited longer, and in my opinion, it was really just the Aegis that screwed them. The fact that the bear lived through that entire period, the fact that it kept burning them away with Radiance, and Stasis just came right back up. They had another 2,252 HP Lone Druid to chew through, and they didn't quite have enough. Honestly, very impressive fight from Ignition there. I liked it. They still have buybacks. I'm not saying they can't defend their own base. Gyrocopter up in 2, Brewmaster up in 10. There's the Stormbolt from Sven, but the Bear is already marauding. The Hyperstone up, this can be either converted into a Mjolnir or a Cuirass. I actually would expect them to maybe build a quick Cuirass here. And Anti-Mage, he's got a heart as of the end of that fight. The fact that he didn't die, he came very close. He came extremely close, but now his survivability is incredible. And it's going to be nigh impossible for Ignition to actually chew through the heart HP of the Anti-Mage as well as the massive HP that the Lone Druid brings to the table after he adds Cuirass. This Gyrocopter is going to struggle. You can tell that Ignition are feeling desperate. Only 10k behind. I mean, it's a lot, but it's not insuperable, but they feel it. They feel that this is, oh, nice ball lightning from Rubik. My god, Extremis just had a huge game, but is it huge enough? He does not have he doesn't have another disable for the Anti-Mage. Do they have hook shot? In fact, the Rubik is completely out of mana. Stun goes up on Anti-Mage. He does have living armor. There's the Brewmaster Q and the W. Orchid coming out from Storm Spirit just to prevent another stun. It's just these Anti-Mage Manta illusions. Look at how much mana they're burning. In fact, Ignition are completely out of mana. There is no possible way they can continue fighting here. The smoke gank not successful, unfortunately. They were not able to bring Mad Pyro down. They saw the power of that Heart of Taras to keep the Anti-Mage alive, and they're forced to retreat. Ignition, it may not seem like it. It may look like it's 2020, but they're kind of on the ropes. This WTRT lineup has so far successfully been able to jump over the top of Ignition, even with some early teamfight losses. It's been a good game. It will continue to be. I can still definitely see Ignition taking some fights. Interesting pickup. The Lincoln's now up for Storm Spirit. This is not... It won't disable as much as the BKB, mind you, but if you can disable something like a jump-in telekinesis from Rubik, you're in great shape as far as that goes. And Extreme, as well as he's been doing, I'm sure he would rather have the Anti-Mage Blink than the Storm Spirit Blink. The Storm Spirit Blink is just costing him his entire mana pool early in these fights, and it's causing him to not be able to spam the rest of his spells. Or if he steals another spell, he sometimes can't even cast it, and that's tough. I'm sure he would love to steal that Anti-Mage Blink if he could. Meanwhile, Brewmaster jumps in again. Again, he's just staying out of the range of the Lone Druid, and then, oh man, god, those Brewlings are falling so quickly. They pick off the Micro Brews. The ultimate does nothing. This is going to be a disastrous fight for Ignition. Actually, Clockwork forced to retreat already. Sven on the ground. BKB almost doing nothing too. Just the mana burn alone from the Anti-Mage Illusions and Anti-Mage at this point is enough to prevent Ignition from being able to chain their abilities together. Buyback from Rubik, but Takashi is entangled. That'll be a wipe. 2 buybacks. Do they have Gyrocopter buyback? No, they don't. He just bought out for Demon Edge. This could be the death push from WTRT. Oh man, that fight was difficult. Brewmaster jumping in ahead of his team. This team not quite ready to cover his approach, and without Aghanim Scepter, those brews, those micro brews died so quickly. WTRT just disposing of them bit by bit, and once all the micro brews are down, Brewmaster of course dies instantaneously. No disables available for that fight. No way to lock down the Lone Druid, and an easy set of racks for WTRT. And then Extreme, he just fought back. Will he die again? No, it looks like he'll make it to the safety of his fountain just barely. Vengeful Spirit. Here's the Basher for Anti-Mage. Venge probably going to get her... She can actually get her Ags if she walks to Fountain. And 2 sets of racks gone. Here's the third. This is the last chance for Ignition. They jump in. Clockwork with a hook shot. He's taking a lot of damage. Bobula will get picked off. Nice stun from Reno with the Stormbolt, but unfortunately too tanky. There's too much to chew through. He's going to go down. 4 on the ground for Ignition. Still no Gyrocopter. The Rubik's the only one left up, and they'll GG out of this as Mega Creeps are available for WTRT. What's the Rosh timer? A little bit of a rocky mid-game. Fine in the lane phase, losing some team fights, but then stabilizing, getting the farm, and their Tricore in the end completely overwhelms Ignition, who unfortunately, that will see them out of the tournament. They played a good game here, almost enough execution to actually take this out. There was a moment in which it seemed like they maybe would be able to tier 3 at high ground, but the split push and the out-farming of what's the Rosh timer will take them into losers bracket round 3 to play the winner of... Who are they playing the winner of? The winner of Ice Cream City and the winner of Unicorn Justice versus 2HU. Nice play from them. What's the Rosh timer? They will advance. Losers bracket round 3. Ignition, this will send them off, but they performed quite ably. And I'm excited to see these teams in some future and amateur tournaments. This is, of course, my first time casting them. In the end, Stazes on Lone Druid, not dealt with, able to dominate while the rest of his team also finds some farm and eventually tips the scales against Ignition. 39 minutes, 30 seconds, and that'll be the end of this game. We'll be moving up into, I'm not quite sure, probably Losers Bracket Round 3, followed by the Winners Bracket Finals, but I'll give you guys a shout-out on stream as far as what the next game actually will be. Thank you so much for watching. Whether you are in-game, I'm not sure if these are open or closed for in-game viewing, but they're probably open. Whether you are watching on Twitch TV, either way, thank you so much. This is the Dota 2 Open Chicago, sponsored by SteelSeries and Merlini Dota, held at the Ignite Gaming Lounge. I'll switch to the overlay in just a second so you can see the venue and all that good stuff. I'm Vikramond. You can check me out at vykromond.com or Twitch, Twitter, YouTube. Thanks so much for watching. We'll be right back.